these two numbers. Okay, so now I'm going to repeat this calculation using SPSS. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to actually take this and we're going to enter this data into SPSS again. Okay, so I'm going to open SPSS, and I actually have it open already. Okay, now imagine I just started SPSS, and I'm going to start typing these values into SPSS. So the first value was 0.05, was 0, or rather 5, and so on and so forth. Okay, next was, and so on and so forth. Well, there's a couple of other ways I could do this. Okay, one way is to actually type these values in. 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 0. Okay, there's those values typed in. I don't know why it was acting so funky there in terms of how it was looking at these things. Now, notice that the variable name, it automatically gave it a variable name of VAR 00001. Okay, that's not very descriptive. I want this to be a little bit more descriptive. I'm going to click on variable view, and now it opens the variable view. I can't really blow this up. I'll zoom in a little while so maybe you can make it a little easier to see. The variable view presents the variable in that first column as a single row where I can describe various aspects of it. First of all, I can change the name of the variable. Okay, so I'm going to change the name to hours TV. Okay, and it's a numeric variable. It got that right. I could change that if I had to one of these other variables. It tells me the width of the variable. In other words, in my case, it's only a couple of digits wide. It asks me if there's any decimal places. I'll put one decimal place as being possible. You know, maybe that's the way the data was reported. It gives me an opportunity to put in a label. Now, in that label, I can be more descriptive than the variable name. Variable name has to have no spaces. It has to start with a letter. It can contain only letters and numbers, I believe. So it's a little bit restrictive, and there's only a certain number of characters that I can use. Okay, so I can actually go over here to this label and make something that's more descriptive than the variable name. Okay, and I'm going to call this hours of TV for U.S. Buddhists. Okay, and so on and so forth. Okay, so now it's got spaces in it. I can use other characters and stuff like that. Much larger number of characters that I can use. The advantage of this is that SPSS, if you provide a label on tables and graphs and results that you get for your calculations, instead of using the variable name, it'll automatically substitute the label. So instead of having a obtuse variable name, which very often you wind up with, you might have a variable name like XYZ37 or something like that, or you might have something that's not very descriptive or understandable. You can make the label very English-like. So you have to do a lot less editing of your results in order to be able to have them in a form that you can present them in a report or a homework or something like that. It's more obvious to other people what those may mean. Okay, so values, in this case, we don't worry about it because we assign value labels when we have a categorical variable. In other words, if one represents male and two represents female, we could put that in there so that we know that for the number 1, that means a male. For number 2, that means a female. So that we can also have the results more descriptive. Instead of putting 1s and 2s, when it separates the results, it'll report, say, the mean for males and females as male and female instead of as 1 and 2, even though that's what we used to make data entry simpler. In this column, you can put in here what to do with missing values. You can tell it to substitute certain numbers for missing values and so on and so forth. We're not going to bother with this. Usually SPSS is pretty efficient at handling missing values anyway. We won't have a problem with that here. The column is the width of the column, and so on. Alignment is right or left or centered. And the type of measure is the type of variable. Is it a scalar variable, an ordinal variable, or a nominal variable? In this case, this is a scalar variable, a number scale. Okay, and this is something we're inputting. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the data view. Okay, notice that now let me see if I can't zoom here, I guess. No, well, let me do that. I'm going to have to adjust this so that I can turn on some of my accessibility options so I can zoom in all situations, but I'll take care of that next time. Notice it's changed to hours TV, the variable name that we assigned, rather than the one that we got by default when we started typing in data. Okay, so there's one other thing I wanted to show you, and that is, I'm going to clear this out. Clear. Okay, I'm going to save this Excel file to the desktop. Let's see, hours TV. I'll call it, give it that file name just so we can find it easily. Okay, let me get it out of the way for the moment. Another way I could have gotten this data into SPSS is to say File, Open, Data, and then start searching for the data. In this case, the data I'm looking for is on my desktop, and it's not seeing it right now. And the reason why it's not seeing it is because only looking for SPSS files. I have to tell it that this data right now is stored in an Excel file. And once I do that, I can see hours, Excel.xlsx, excuse me. And I'm going to tell it, well, there's the file. Now open that Excel file from SPSS. SPSS examines that file and it says, gee, the only place I see data on there that looks like it's applicable is on sheet 1 from cell number A1 to cell number A9. Makes sense. That's the cells that we put our data in. We could identify it another way. If there's something on other sheets, we could get to it that way and stuff like that. It also has a little checkbox here, read variable name from the first row of data. If the data in Excel had in the top row of information, I had put hours TV, then we wouldn't want it importing that. It's data. It's not really data. It's just a label. I check that off, and it will know to use that first row, not to use that as actual data, but as the variable name. That's not the case for us, so I have to uncheck that. I'm going to click OK. It imports the data into SPSS, and voila, instead of typing it from scratch, it should show up here. Unfortunately, it didn't do me very much good here. This command, not sure why it didn't import it, unless maybe I didn't properly. Let's try that again. Open data. Excel. I'll try it again. Open. Worksheet. Identify the numbers correctly. Oh, it should be appearing there. It's not appearing there. I'm not sure why. There might be some stray data. Oh, what's a possibility? It may be a problem. It may be that it doesn't like the fact that I still have the thing open in Excel. SPSS tends to be a very temperamental program that way. And a lot of times it won't give you an error message to help you out. Let's try that. Maybe it was just that it didn't like the fact that I still had the file open in Excel. It doesn't like to share. Let's see. Hours. Do I see it there? Excel. There it is. Don't include that. Now, maybe my copy is buggy. It could be my SPSS has a problem. It's buggy. I'll try updating it later on and getting it to work. We'll use the one that you'll have to take my word for it. Okay, that this does actually work. Yeah, I'm going to be going over. As a matter of fact, I am going to be going over a problem from homework 7 as well. Okay, hypothesis testing. Okay, so trust me, this should work. It will work 99% of the time. That's the first time it hasn't worked for me in a long time. And it could be this is a newly installed version of it's not a new version of SPSS, but it's newly installed on this particular machine. They might need an update or something like that. It's not happy about something, but trust me, that should import the data into SPSS and save you the trouble of typing it in the way I did initially. Okay, that was just a demonstration. If you had an issue with that, don't worry about it. I just wanted to demonstrate that there's other ways to import data into SPSS than just typing it in. So we saw how to type data into SPSS or enter it manually into SPSS. We took a quick look at how to define the variable in the variable